the board meeting to order at just barely 4 p.m. Brittany, are you on the phone?
I'm here.
Can you go ahead with the roll, please?
We'll start with Linda Bowe.
She's absent today.
I am board member Brittany Buchanan. I am present. Colette Chapman.
Here.
Michael Gordon.
Present.
Sue K. Kneifel.
Present.
Katie Cinco.
Present.
And Earl Terry.
Present.
Thank you. Moving on to agenda item 1.2, call to the public on agendized items. First, I have Trish Ross. Yes, you sure can.
Hi, my name is Trish Ross. I teach here.
You gotta get a little closer. Thank you.
My name is Trish Ross. I'm a teacher at the Phoenix Day School for the Deaf. I'm going to comment on agenda item number 1.3 and 1.5. Good evening, board members, administrators, and the ASDB community. The ASDB Association has been trying to get an H policy since October 2023. We came to the board meeting asking for your support. We want a place at the table, the institution where we pour our hearts out every day. On January 16th, there was a meeting where we understood that Maria Murphy and Superintendent Reichman were going to present about the H policy. Instead, the board went into executive session, then came out and announced that we did not need an H policy because, I quote, ASDB has policies to address these issues and staff in place, including the ombudsman, to address these issues. Issues. We want a chance to be heard, to be included, to share our ideas, to make this a better institution. During the meeting, we were told to huddle like buffalo to protect the institution against a storm. We were left out of the huddle. That's how we feel. Thank you to the board member that did support us for believing in teachers and staff that provide direct services to our student. We very much appreciate you. 1.5. We've been told since the beginning of the budget shortfall that we will always be looking out for what's best for students. There are several decisions that have been made that don't align with that statement. I will mention just a few. Reducing the radius that we transport students from 30 miles to 30 miles from 50 miles. If a deaf child lives 31 miles away, they can't come to school here anymore, even if it's the best educational placement. Our biggest concern should be for the 3-year-olds. They get early intervention we provide, and then we just drop them if they live more than 30 miles away. 3-year-olds need language exposure. This is such a critical time for them. I worked at DVR as an itinerant teacher for 6 years. There are many students that can benefit from itinerant services, no doubt, but there are many that just can't. I don't believe I was ever in a situation where a preschooler was in the best served placement when I was an itinerant teacher. Preschool classes are large, loud, chaotic, typically cross-categorical special ed, taught by teachers that have no understanding of deaf children, hearing aids, hearing assistive devices, or education. Education in the primary years is based on phonics in the mainstream, rather than language-based instruction our students need. Superintendent Reichman sent us an email on March 14th to summarize the board meeting, including information about our consulting spending. We have 6 educational part-time consultants that we spend $300,000 a year to do work. Yet, we are eliminating teacher leader positions that would have cost us maybe $50,000. Not even that. Sorry, I forgot to do the math on that. We are not giving people salary grade advancements to people who spent their own money to get certifications and degrees to improve themselves because you asked them to. That grade advancement is about $3,000 per person. And maybe we had 10 people that were going to get that this year. People have left the agency because of this decision. And we will spend more money finding, hiring, and training for those positions that we already had qualified people for. We need to spend money on people who are in the classroom, working with students every day, and providing direct instruction. Thank you for your time.
Thank you. Next, I have, it looks like Ariel Patterson-Vias.
Hello, my name is Ariel Patterson-Vias, ELP teacher, Phoenix, Arizona, addressing item 4.1, financial report. ASDB board members and administration. I am one of the teachers leaving ASDB this year. I felt it was important to speak directly to the board to tell you why, not just on my behalf, but on the voice of many educators who are feeling similarly. Harvard Business School published research identifying 4 main reasons why employees leave their jobs. 1, lack of meaningful work. 2, insufficient support from leadership. 3, limited opportunities for growth. And 4, inadequate compensation. When there is an imbalance in these areas, even highly committed employees begin to leave. For me, the first factor, meaningful work, has never been in question. I have loved this job deeply and have always found joy and purpose in serving this community. However, the second factor, support from leadership, has been an ongoing concern. Educators have repeatedly asked for more transparent communication and support. We've requested town halls, clearer policies, and a seat at the table to represent teachers when decisions are being made. These requests have gone unanswered. While the board discusses declining enrollment, it has not yet asked teachers for our insights. That's a missed opportunity. We are the ones with boots on the ground. We know the students, families, and needs of our schools and community. I'll tell you, it's not just birth rates. The final 2 factors, growth and compensation, go hand in hand for me. I began my ASDB journey as a deafblind intervener and quickly fell in love with the community. Over the past 7 years, I've worked hard to grow professionally. I saw a critical gap in services for students with dual sensory loss and pursued a second master's degree to become a certified teacher of the visually impaired. I am now dual certified to serve students who have both hearing and vision loss, students who often fall through the cracks due to the lack of overlapping expertise. Despite this, I was informed that due to budget constraints, I would not receive any salary increase for this upcoming year. I took on this additional training to serve our students better, and now I am left with student loan debt and no additional compensation to repay it. About a month ago, the staff received an email discussing recruitment efforts. If there's one message I hope you walk away with tonight, it is this. The issue is not recruitment, it is retention. When you retain experienced, passionate educators, students will follow. They will come. They are willing to come where the good education and educators are. But when you lose those educators, again, students will follow. Thank you for your time.
Thank you. Next, we have Elizabeth Smith.
Hello. My name is Elizabeth Smith. I'm here to talk on agenda item 1.5. I drove here from Tucson. I have 3 children that attend ASDB Tucson campus. I also am an ASDB employee. And I'm also the president of the parent-student organization. The reason I stand here before you as a mother and as an employee is because I have more inside knowledge of the budget shortfalls, and I have a variety of concerns. I've been seeing and hearing from my coworkers, staff, teachers, administrators, that they're feeling heartbroken. Many of them are leaving. They feel unsupported and unheard. And I understand that this can be a legislative issue, but we currently do not feel supported from the board and from upper administration. I'm here because I would like an opportunity to feel heard. And as a mother, I know what it's like to feel this pain, and there's a lack of transparency with what's actually happening. Teachers are leaving, and I know the inside because I work here. And this is where it's important for me to express my opinions. And I'm seeking support as a parent. And I've spoken with many other parents who also feel the same way, that they don't feel included in their child's education. They feel that the school cares more about sending the students to ASDB, but not continuing that connection. So I ask that you please consider really discussing the budget deficit and different possibilities in how to engage parents, staff members, and other stakeholders. Thank you for your time.
Thank you. I appreciate that. And did I miss one? All right, next I have Mary Pat, and I know I'm going to brutally pronounce this, McAlvey. Oh, Mary Pat, oh, there she is. Okay.
I speak for myself yet. So I'm just going to speak because I'm quite infused.
You got to get it really close. You got to get it like really, really close.
Can
to
you hear me now? Yeah,
Much
okay.
better,
Hi.
yes.
Sorry, I can't hear, so I can't tell. All right, perfect. Hello, good afternoon. My name is Mary Pat Levy. I will be speaking on behalf of Arizona Association for the Deaf. Your touch bases on both 4.1 and 5.2. Okay. We deeply value ASDB's role in serving deaf-blind, and hard-of-hearing students, and we're here today to ask important questions and offer partnership to ensure that these students receive the education they deserve, one that is equitable, culturally aligned, and sustainable. We recognize that ASDB has access to several critical funding. We're questioning whether these resources are truly being utilized, like land trust endowment. That's just one example. We asked the board to share how the revenue is being managed and whether it's directly benefiting student programs. We are also asking for clarity around the special education voucher from the Arizona Department of Education. Are you receiving this funding based on enrollment? And how is that money distributed between classroom instruction, transportation, and administrative costs? Additionally, I believe that you might be eligible for Proposition 301 classroom site funds. We would like to know how much was received this year and how these funds are being allocated. Are they supporting teacher capacity, curriculum development, or technology for students? Beyond funding, we're concerned about long-term sustainability and transparency. As a state agency, not as a charter school, where oversight systems are in place to ensure accountability, especially as large amounts are being spent on transportation. Were any cost-saving alternatives like collaborating with the Department of Education ever considered? Looking ahead, what long-term strategy exists to ensure the School for the Deaf can continue to provide high-quality services even as costs increase? Finally, I want to highlight the importance of staff retention. Student-centered innovation across the country, there is shortage of qualifying, culturally competent teachers and interpreters. What are you doing to retain these people at the School for the Deaf? would you be open to exploring community partnerships for after-school programs, mentorship, and culturally relevant services? Other state schools for the deaf have created successful model using satellite program, bilingual classroom, and deaf-led leadership tracks. Have you looked into those? In closing, our goal is not just accountability and collaboration. Students need more than access. They need to belong. They need role models. They need schools that reflect their language, identity, and future. The Arizona Association of the Deaf stand ready to support you, the School for the Deaf, through advocacy, partnership, and shared purpose. Thank you for your time and your commitment to the school.
Thank you. Before we move on, I would just like to say that a lot of what was said tonight also needs to be said to your legislature. These are issues that are not just internal to ASDB, and while we want to support as much as we can here internally as the board, a lot of this needs to be heard by the legislature as well. And I'll leave it at that. Moving on to agenda item 1.3, information item, the superintendent's report. Superintendent Reichman.
Good afternoon, President Kneifel, members of the ASDB Board, Acting Assistant Superintendent Oren Katchoff, Assistant Superintendent Shayna Cooper, and our ASDB community. Welcome to our May 8th board meeting. Before I get serious here, I first wanted to mention that we are in the month of May, and the month of May is certainly a time for celebrations and graduations. You recently got your graduation invitations from our PDSD students. So come May 20th, please, for their graduation. And then our Tucson campus will be holding their graduation on May 22nd. I hope that all of you are able to come to both graduation ceremonies and recognize our senior class and their accomplishments. One of my favorite duties as a superintendent is that I have the privilege of standing next to their principal. And while the principal hands them their diploma, I then am able to shake their hand and congratulate each senior on their accomplishment of graduation. And I love that. I love to see the excitement, their trepidation, and their families, and that sense of accomplishment, of all of the work that has taken them to finish 12th grade. And now, as they get ready, they embark on life after school. It's really amazing. So I first want to acknowledge that, and I hope that you can come to both graduation ceremonies. And now to our more serious business. As you all know, ASDB is facing a unique challenge at this current time. There's been a lot of debate and discussion about the future of the agency, what to do, what's currently happening. And it just so happens that I did an email on the 15th of April. I sent out an email to our staff with a vlog. And that vlog talked about what we learned from the Joint Legislative Audit Committee, or JLAC. And it seems that that vlog has caused a little bit of a stir. This was not my intention. My intention was to share with our ASDB community, to be transparent, and to let them know that our state legislature has an interest in the work that we do here at ASDB. So, while we talk about the future, what we're doing with ASDB, with all of the things that are happening in our current context, I will share what I know. I would like to use the metaphor of a ship. ASDB is a ship. We have to have a clear direction. We need to know where we're going. We need to know where we're arriving. We need to be able to figure out our path on these waters in order to get there. We need to have a compass, or maybe that's a little bit too old-fashioned. We need some GPS. And we would use GPS to tell us where and how to get to our final destination. We need a team. In order to work on a ship, we need a team working together in order to be able to chart these waters to our final destination. When we see a storm approaching, what can we do with that information? As our sails start to blow and billow, we would bring them down, tie them down, and try to make safe choices in order to minimize damage to our ship. And that's how we would be able to face our storm. We would go through the waves, and the waves would heave and hoe. We would go through the wind and have to navigate together in order to get through that oncoming storm to come out the other side. That's what I know. We have to do that. If we panic and we try to turn around and sail away, the storm is likely quicker than our ship, and it's going to catch up to us regardless. And then we will capsize. We have to stay together. We have to stay the course. So, what I know about our course is that we have an ASDB statutory purpose that tells us our purpose, that tells us what we are supposed to be doing. We have to follow our statutory purpose. We have a vision, we have a mission, and I, again, just reread our mission. We have 4 components: education of students who are deaf and who are blind. Clearly, this vision says that. To provide leadership and services, to collaborate. We just talked about how to improve our collaboration with school districts, and that is in our mission. Collaboration with school districts, with families, and with our community. And then partnering with state agencies. Those 4 components are our mission. And that is what we have to do. We also have a strategic plan with 4 pillars. I was recently asked that maybe we should pause potentially our strategic plan because of all of the things that are happening around us. And I look back at our strategic plan and our 4 pillars, of excellent communication and relationship building, outstanding student development, superb organizational culture, and effective resource management. Each and every one of those must remain. We don't need to change that. That, again, is our guiding light. We have to stay the course. Some of our objectives may change and probably will. That will likely happen. But those 4 pillars, we have this strategy. We have a clear direction. We have a shared purpose. Could we more clearly define our shared purpose? Likely. We likely could. We have already. We cannot simply leave those 4 pillars. We would be lost at sea. We must have a clear direction, and we must stay this course. Our priorities remain our students, simply. I agree with our community that our priority must remain, first and foremost, our students. We have some difficult decisions that must be made, but our students must remain our first priority. We must use research-based best practices in our instruction and support of students, period. How we do that is up for further discussion. But we also must look at long-term sustainability of this agency. And that means that we have to face this budget shortfall head-on. We closed last year with a $1.5 million deficit. This year, as about 6 months ago, we started projecting that by the end of the year, we were anticipating having approximately a $2.6 million deficit. And so we started implementing cost-saving strategies. And we have thus far been successful. We have saved about $900,000. Our projected deficit is at about $1.7 million. And I'm hoping that this month and next month, we're able to shorten that even more. Last year, we had some cash that was able to cover the deficit. This year, we also have some cash reserves that were able to stay solvent. Next year, starting as of July 1st, 2025, until June 30th of 2026, we no longer have those cash reserves. We have to balance the budget. We have to reduce our spending, and we cannot stop outspending our income. We cannot continue this for a 3rd year. And as you know, our facilities, our capital is a whole other discussion. We do not have adequate funding and have not had adequate funding for a long time. We need to figure out how to get the funding support for our facilities. Right now, the building that we are in, the AC, the air conditioning, has broken down simply because it's old and it should have been replaced several years ago. But we've been deferring that and not replacing the air conditioning because we didn't have adequate resources to pay for a replacement properly at the right time. So that's what I know. We have to stay the course. Going back to, at this time, at this juncture, having a unique challenge, we are facing extra scrutiny of ASDB. Last JLAC meeting that happened on March 28th, the JLAC committee members had a lot of questions about ASDB, and they question our educational models. They are questioning whether we should be exploring potential other different and quote unquote better educational models. I spoke to our current educational models and informed them that we do have a robust itinerant services program, one of the best in the country. And we serve about 85% of all students who are deaf or who are blind in their public schools with IEPs. We know that. We have a really good system in place already. But JLAC, with their questions, really informed us of their perspective and of their thoughts. I tried to share that information with my recent vlog. Do I think that there are better educational models out there? I'm a little skeptical. I am very much in support of our campus-based programming. I understand and see the importance of peer interaction, of direct instruction with teachers who are role models. I myself have that experience back in high school. I understand and empathize. At the same time, I also have to recognize the context in which we are in. And our society is changing, and our values are changing. And how we're able to adapt to that and how we use our resources will continue to change in order to best meet the needs of our students. There is no simple answer for this. That is what I also know. That is the challenge ahead of us. I will wrap up my comments, but I did want to mention that Rosie de la Cruz is finishing up her year with us. It is June next month, and she will be leaving us. Her position will be available, and the acting assistant superintendent, Oren Katchoff, will step into that position. He will assume direct responsibilities for both our Tucson campus and the Phoenix campus, as well as ODD and CTE. I will be assuming direct responsibility for the other parts of the assistant superintendent duties. That includes our early learning program, itinerant services, special education department, deaf programs, and blind programs. That will be starting July 1st of 2025. That will give us a full year to figure out how we can restructure our educational programming for 2 years, and it also is able to save the agency some money. I also want to express my appreciation for your work, your support, and you have been attending meetings on a monthly basis. Last February, we had our work study session, and we talked about our budget in depth. By the way, that is online. If you want that information, you can check what's called Diligent Community on our website. Go back to February 13th. There is a PowerPoint with many slides, with a lot of information. We reviewed that with the board. And then again in April, on April 10th, you all met again to look at our capital budget, our capital needs, and predictions for the future. And again, next month in June, on June 10th, you will be meeting to discuss our Strategic Plan 2.0, which will be good for 2025 until 2030. We must have a strong strategic plan for the next 5 years. And again, that can be adjusted as new information arises, but we must remain steadfast to our 4 pillars and our shared purpose. So thank you so much.
Thank you. Any questions for Annette? I would like to add to what you said, Annette, about what's online and what's available for the public. That includes the budget meetings, the subcommittee meetings, or finance committee meetings, that's the word I needed. That information is there as well. And I would strongly recommend that folks look at the JLAC meetings. They're both closed captioned from the December and the March meetings. I think that will give you some insight as to what we're looking at and we're facing, and some of the subtle intent that is behind the message that we're getting from the JLAC. I think that would be very helpful as well. So I would recommend that folks take a look at that as well. But thank you. Moving on to 1.4, information item, Assistant Superintendent of Curriculum and Instruction Report, Interim Assistant Superintendent Orrin Katchoff.
Good afternoon, Board President Kneifel, Superintendent Reichman, Assistant Superintendent Cooper, members of the board, and members of the community. I looked back at my May board meeting report from 2 years ago before I started writing this one. And 2 years ago in May, I started out by saying that in America, the average person will spend about 90,000 hours, or 1/4 of their adult life, at work. Every year, the employees of ASDB do get to decide if they want to spend 1/4 of their adult life working at ASDB and helping us fulfill our mission and vision. Although our context is different now than 2 years ago, things like the budget shortage and JLAC were not on my mind at that time. I would have not been able to answer what JLAC stood for back then. But the vision of the agency does remain the same. As the superintendent mentioned, our vision is that we are committed to the excellence and innovation in education for all children through Arizona who are hard of hearing, deaf, or have vision loss, excellence and innovation in leadership, excellence and innovation in collaborations with families, school districts, and the community, and excellence and innovation in partnering with other agencies. In a nutshell, the heart of this vision statement is really simple. We are to provide the best possible education to every student we serve statewide. And although that promise remains unchanged, the context in which we deliver on that promise is changing, and it will continue to do so. We are all witnessing rapid shifts in educational needs, driven by technology, driven by politics, driven by these deteriorating infrastructures, driven by the changing expectations of our students, our families, and our communities. And while these changes will bring new opportunities, they also compel us to critically examine our current structures, programs, and methods. Right now is the time for all of us, including the board and including the community, to ask difficult but necessary questions. For example, are we really organized in ways that truly serve our students best? Are our resources aligned with the outcomes that matter most? And are we adapting quickly enough to our surroundings? In the midst of this evolution, clarity of our purpose must be our guide. As the superintendent mentioned, we do have a strategic plan that is there to help us through these changing times. And as she mentioned, we're also working on the next strategic plan, which will guide ASDB through the next 5 years. I urge all of us who have committed to working at ASDB to continue to use this plan as our compass. We are not here to preserve tradition for its own sake or to resist change out of habit. We are here to serve students. Now more than ever, we must be honest about what works at ASDB. This means letting go of what does not work and being unified in our commitment to student success. As we adapt to the future, we must respond to change with intention and not fear. We also need to respond with a sense of urgency. As we and the board engage in upcoming planning, strategic discussions, and possible reconfigurations, we need to do so grounded in our shared mission, which is student-based and student-centered decision-making, academic excellence, and equity. Those don't have to just be buzzwords. Those could be our pathway. So to all the leaders and educators who signed their contracts and are coming back, thank you for your continued commitment to ASDB and offering more of your 90,000 career hours helping us help our students. Remember that we are here to provide the best education and services. What that looks like may change, but why we do it never should. If all of us, including the community and the board, remain true to our vision and remain true to being a team, we will not only adapt to these upcoming changes, but we could possibly lead these changes. In conclusion, I do want to thank as well Rosie De La Cruz for being with us the last year. I've learned a lot from her, and it's been a pleasure working with her. I also want to thank Jill Voigt for leading PDSD the last 2.5 years and jumping in to lead that school during a tough time. Jill has made the decision to return to the classroom, where she can see firsthand every day the impact that she's making on students, and I commend and appreciate that decision. So again, I want to thank you both for your service and your hard work. Thank you.
Thank you, Warren. Any questions or comments for Orrin? Moving on to agenda item 1.5, information item, Assistant Superintendent of Agency Operations and Support Services Report, Assistant Superintendent Shana Cooper.
Good afternoon, Board President Kneifel, Superintendent Reichman, Acting Assistant Superintendent Katchoff, members of the board, ASDB community, and staff members. With approximately 6 to 8 weeks remaining in the fiscal year, the Operations and Support Services team is very busy supporting each of the educational program areas as they close out the academic year and in support of ASDB strategic priorities, which most of the work we do is tied to Pillar 3, superb organizational culture, and Pillar 4, effective resource management. Each of the directors have provided to you their departmental reports, and in that report, you'll notice that all the teams are gathering and gearing up for year end and providing operational and support service resources to the educational teams as they are quickly and fastly approaching with the end of the school year. The teams are also working on closing out the fiscal year, planning for the new year, and working on pulling the requested information for the forensic and performance auditors. For all of this year has not come without its challenges, and some of the most difficult challenges facing the agency as we strive to improve the academic, daily living skills, and employment outcomes for all of our students includes managing our resources, which consist of our facilities, personnel, technology, and our finances. We are making every effort to carefully manage these resources and on putting in place the necessary structure and accountability needed to ensure the agency operates in a fiscally sound manner. And as Superintendent Reichman already mentioned, through a combination of cost reduction measures, operational efficiencies, resource allocation, and the strategic use of grants and reserve funds, approximately $1 million of the original $2.6 million shortfall has been addressed. However, a funding gap remains of a little less than $1.7 million based on the most recent estimated budget projections. I continue to say that amount can fluctuate, so that means it can continue to increase or decrease. But keeping that in mind, I do want to explain how that $1 million reduction has been addressed. That is primarily due to additional revenue that has come in through the institutional vouchers from our itinerant program students coming in a little higher than anticipated due to a review of the students and their funding determinations. Additionally, contracted student transportation and the cash match obligations for our Arizona Department of Economic Security grants have come in a little bit lower than what we originally projected. In addition to that, we have continued with the headcount cap and reducing staffing levels through natural right sizing has also helped. In the last 2 board work study sessions, each of you as board members heard about the resources within our operating and capital budgets. And during those discussions, I hope each of you have a better understanding of the fiscal position we are in, and given our constrained resources, with the trend of our declining student counts, the need to secure funding for our aging infrastructure, and in order for us to ensure financial sustainability, as already mentioned, we need to make substantial changes to how we operate and utilize our resources. And as we pursue the evaluations of our programs and service delivery models, that may mean reimagining ASDB and our strategic focus, which does include making sure we continue with our strategic plan, but that may mean, as we've talked about, implementing new priorities, which will require us to reallocate our funds to those priorities. That's how a budget is built. The budget does not build the strategic plan builds the budget. With all that said, we will need to continue to reduce our expenditures since they are outpacing our revenues, and I'm hopeful within the next upcoming year, with these changes, we'll see some significant impacts to the budget as we look at realigning. Although the year has not come without its challenges, I do want to thank everyone for their ongoing commitment as we do our best to respond and in the best interest of our students with less than 2 weeks left to close out the year. And as we look to graduation, I want to extend my congratulations to the class of 2025 and also thank all of our teachers and staff who supported our students and schools each day. We don't want to lose sight of that. I know we are pulling together to rethink how we operate, and this past year has provided us with the opportunity to think and do things a little differently. That wraps up my report, and I don't have any other information to provide at this time.
Thank you, Shana. Any questions or comments for Shana? Okay. Moving on to agenda item 2.1, there's an action item, approval of the consent agenda consistent with board policy to include items 3.1, renewal of district agreements, 5.1, BPAC agreements, 6.1, salary schedule changes. 6.2, teacher contracts. 7.2, donations. And 7.3, meeting minutes. I am open to a motion. I have a motion. Do I have a second?
I second.
Thank you. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? We have one opposition. Motion still carries. Thank you. Moving on to agenda item 4.1, information item, finance report, Kim Bittrich, Director.
Good afternoon, Board President Kneifel, Superintendent Reichman, Assistant Superintendent Cooper, Acting Assistant Superintendent Katchoff, members of the board and ASDB community. You have been provided our most recent board report that covers financial data for March 2024 and 2025. The data was covered in more detail at our most recent Finance Committee meeting held on Wednesday, April 30th, with Board President Kneifel and Board Member Gordon. Also in attendance were Superintendent Reichman, Assistant Superintendent Cooper, Statewide Director of Itinerant Programs Jason Lilly, and Director of Region 1 and Distance, Greer Martin Parish. Jason Lilly presented an overview of the Itinerant Services Program, staffing, and student enrollment. The total student count provided in the board report for April 1st, 2025 shows 1,887 students compared to 2,178 students as of July 1st, 2023, a total decrease of 291 students. When comparing the April 1st, 2025 student count to March 1st of 2025 of 1865, there is an increase of 22 students. All areas have an increase, while preschool decreased by 1 in the itinerant program. As of April 1st, we had 501 full-time equivalent positions, which includes 8.5 FTE at Foundation for Blind Children. At that time, we employed 700 staff. There were 52 vacancies across the agency at that time, which included 19 teachers, 7 instructional assistants, 4 interpreters, 10 drivers, and 12 support staff. The positions are opened that are required by student IEPs, those needed to reduce contracted staff, or to maintain continuity of operations. The highlights of the March 2025 financial report shows the total revenue of $41.4 million was $214,000 higher than the March 2024 revenue of $41.1 million. The major difference is the decrease in the general fund expenditures, offset by an increase in the voucher revenue, the classroom site fund, and the fee-for-service revenue. The vouchering the students and invoicing districts for services has occurred earlier in the year than last year. The budget fiscal year 2024 obligated expenditures of $48.2 million were $2.4 million less than budget fiscal year 2025. The obligated expenditures of $50.6 million. The increases are in payroll and employee-related expenditures of $4.2 million. This is partially due to salary increases given to staff, as well as step increases for teachers and related services staff to match their years of service. This is offset by a decrease in all other expenditure categories. Travel and equipment are decreased as part of the budget cuts, and food service is down as a result of fewer students. The financial statements for March 2025 show our total fund balance is $2.1 million lower as of March 25 than it was on March 2024. This concludes my report of the agency financial status, and I am available to answer any questions and the information provided.
Thank you, Kim. Any questions or comments for Kim?
Thank you.
No. Thank you, Kim. Moving on to agenda item 5.2, action item, approval of use of state trust lands. Albert Duff, Director of Operations.
President Suitcase Knife, sorry for that one. Used to that one, I'm sure. Board members, ASDB board members, Superintendent Reichman, and Assistant Superintendent Ketchoff and Cooper. Before you is the State Land Trust proposal, and I'm available to answer any questions you have.
Do you have any questions regarding the land trust for Albert? If not, I will take a motion. I have a motion and a second from Board Member Terry and Board Member Sanko. All those in favor of passing or accepting the trust, please say aye. Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Seeing none, motion carries. Thank you, Albert.
Thank you.
Moving on to agenda item 7.1, information and discussion item, introduction and possible discussion of policies ABA, ABAA, AC, ACAA, AD, GBK, and JII. Maria Murphy, Director of Policy and Government Relations.
Good afternoon, Board President, members of the Board, Superintendent Reichman, Assistant Superintendents, ASDB staff, and ASDB community. You have before you the red lines that have been proposed. I have not received any public comment in regards to that. That having been said, I do need some assistance and some direction from the ASDB board, and I'm hoping to start a conversation with you, board members. So you may have noticed that there are a lot of changes in the red lines this month. And part of that is because 4 of the policies, specifically AC, ACAA, GBK, and JII, are in response to changes at both the federal and the state levels, specifically in regards to Title IX discrimination. However, the other policies, Policy A, ABA, ABAA, and AD, are the result of an Arizona School Boards Association comprehensive policy review that they have recently decided to undertake. So we did our own comprehensive policy review starting in 2015, and now the School Boards Association is starting their own comprehensive policy review. And I have been receiving advisories, they're coming fast and furious, from ASBA since February. And these particular policies, they're not anything that I think that the ASDB board has to adopt. ASBA is making these recommendations, but it's not something that is required of us as it would be when we're talking about federal or state legislation. So because these advisories are coming so quickly, my concern is that I could be asking you, board, to make some revisions to some policies, and then 5 or 6 months down the line, we have to backtrack and revise a policy again because of new advisories that are coming out. So my hope is that perhaps we can table some of these policies and wait until all of the advisories come in so that you as a board and the Assistant Attorney General and I can take a look at these policy changes holistically and try to figure out what makes sense for ASDB, what we are legally required to do, and what we think we want to keep the same. So that having been said, I would love to get some direction from the board on what you, how you would like me to move forward for the future.
Thank you, Maria. I will say that other than the ones that have been changed because of statute, because of legislation. I am all in favor of waiting and looking at more of the big picture as ASBA finishes their review and continues to send you advisories. It would be nice if you could present to us, and I'm open to other suggestions as well, if you could present to us what you would recommend for the board to look at and adopt, and what we don't really need to consider. I think it would be better served if we used your subject matter expertise in that area than for us to try and weed through all of it. Do you need us to vote on that, or is our direction enough?
I am not certain. I would hope that the direction would be enough.
I mean, it's not listed as an action item, so I'm assuming we could just direct you as the board. Does anybody want to add to that?
I do. This is Mike Gordon. Thank you, Maria. As I've tried to weed through the 150 pages of the one advisory, and then realizing that there's still advisories coming, I would very much recommend a table until we have everything at hand, and then we can work on that. Because it's a lot of work already, and to go back and try to do it again, it just seems it's just not in the proper order.
Yeah.
So
I saw Earl.
Yes, this is Board Member Terry. I do agree with Mike Gordon. There are some things that were just changed from March 2025. So I think we should wait until we get to that point.
Commissioner Senko, yes, I agree. I would like to say that I would ask Maria to come to the board for further guidance as we receive more advice. Is a very smart move.
It looks pretty unanimous to me. I think we will table that until we have a more holistic look at what might change in the future.
Thank you, members of the board. I will plan at the July board meeting to move for a second read the policies that need to be moved in response to federal and state legislative changes.
Excellent. Thank you, Maria.
Thank you.
All right. Let me see where we're at. Moving on to agenda item 8.1, call to the public on non-agenda items. I do have one. Jessica Andrade. Sorry. with the name of Knuckle, I should be like very well aware of that.
Can everyone see me okay?
Yes.
All right. Thank you so much for having me here to speak tonight. My name is Jessica Andrade. I work for the agency professionally, but tonight I'm here in a different capacity. I'm here as a parent and an alumni of PDSD. I'm a graduate of the class of 2009, so I am here with deep personal experience, both as someone who's benefited from this school and as a parent who wants the same opportunity for my children and others. Before I came to PDSD as a student, I struggled with my identity. I was mainstreamed growing up. I didn't feel fully accepted. I felt lost, and transferred here to PDSD sophomore year. That was a turning point in my life. I was exposed to a rich community of deaf culture and language, and I learned not only academics, but confidence, connection, and pride. I made friends with those who understood me, and for the first time, I truly felt like I belonged. PDSD has helped me become the person I am today. Now, as a parent, I see my children walking a similar path. They are thriving because they are in an environment that supports their language, their identity, and their full potential. But I also worry. I'm very concerned about the future of ASDB and PDSD. If you choose to close or reduce support for this school, you will be taking away more than just classrooms. You will be taking away language, culture, and opportunity for so many deaf and hard of hearing children. Not every family has the resources or support to advocate or provide language access at home. Many deaf children live in homes where communication is already a struggle. For them, school is the only place where they are truly understood, where they can grow in both language and academics. If that is taken away, they may lose their voice. They may lose their connection. And that is something we cannot allow to happen. Yes, I feel incredibly lucky and privileged that my children are deaf. Not because it's easy, but because we are a part of a strong community with access to resources like PTSD. But I also feel a deep sadness for other children in other districts where few deaf programs exist, where there are not enough interpreters, where schools are not equipped to meet their needs. I just had an IEP meeting recently with one such school district. And they told me flat out they had no deaf programs where I live and barely enough interpreters. That's not a learning environment. That's isolation. So I urge you to see what this school represents. Again, not just a place to learn, but a lifeline, a future, a community. Please don't take that away from our children. They deserve to grow up with language, culture, and the chance to thrive, just like I did starting sophomore year. Thank you for your time and your attention and your commitment to truly listening to the voices of the deaf community. Thank you.
Thank you. And again, I'd like to encourage you to share that with your legislators. One more, I've got Elizabeth Browse and Libby. I'm sorry, that was stuck together, so.
I know you wouldn't try to ignore me. Hello. I thought maybe, I'm learning pregnancy brain is real, so I thought maybe I actually did not turn in a paper. Anyway, hello, my name is Elizabeth Browse. I am a preschool teacher here at PDSD and the president of the Arizona School for the Deaf and Blind Educator Association. Hello, Assistant Superintendent Katchoff, Assistant Superintendent Cooper, Superintendent Reichman, Board President Kneifel, and board members. Thank you for the time to be here in front of you today. I was commenting on agenda item 1.3, excellent communication and relationships. And to my fellow educators, happy Teacher Appreciation Week. Yay! This week has really had me thinking about my time here at ASDB and as an educator. I've been teaching for 13 years now. I am reminded of my colleagues from DVR Region 2 when I was an itinerant teacher. We would meet in the office after our long drive back. We would review student data. We'd discuss access for our students in their general ed classrooms. We would workshop IEP goals for our students. We were data-centered and access-focused. I think about one of my colleagues in the preschool, Stephanie Voss, who at the drop of a hat could rework a schedule to cover for 2 absent teachers and 1 absent instructional assistant to maintain the integrity of our program and a safe learning environment for our students. She's a problem solver. I think about the 0 to 3 providers and the deaf mentors that I work with. They travel great distances in this state. They go into families' homes. They work with parents in the most vulnerable life moments.
They often provide the first look through the window into the deaf community. They know how to build trust with families. I'm reminded of the audiologists that I've worked with, like Carol Eichhorst in DVR Region 2. She knows the dispensing audiologists in the Phoenix area. She knows the other services, like the Ear Foundation. She's created partnerships and navigates using community resources. She knows how to build community connection and support. These are the perspectives that have been shut out of direct conversations, planning, problem solving, and relationship building with the board and with leadership. In that January meeting that my colleague Trish pointed out, the board chose to close a door on developing that relationship and tapping into the expertise and the experience of those people's perspectives, those educators' perspectives. ASDB EA is still here. During this pivotal moment for our agency, now is the time to work directly with the educators that I mentioned. We're not just looking for a place to complain. We are looking to be part of the solution in a formal way. And you mentioned that, yes, let's contact our legislators. I watched the JLAC. I watched that whole thing. I watched those things. I reach out to my legislators as a Arizona resident. ASDBA is asking the board, partner with us. We're asking Superintendent Reichman, take us with you. Maria Murphy, take us with you. We want to go to the legislators. We want to work with you to do that. We need an H policy in order to work with you. We are not just looking to submit complaints through an ombuds person. We're not looking to do that. We are looking to have meaningful partnership and relationship so that we can be the problem solvers. Thank you for your time.
Thank you, Libby. Moving on to agenda item 8.2, discussion and possible action items, agenda items for the next regular board meeting scheduled for July 10th, 2025 in Tucson. Annette, I would like to add a follow-up with our AAG regarding the personnel issue that we're currently dealing with. That's the one thing I want to make sure that's on there. If anybody else have anything to add for the July meeting? Okay. You can always contact myself or Superintendent Reichman to add something before the board meeting. I'm going to move on to 8.3, information item board work study is scheduled on June 12th. That will be here at PDSD. I'd like to make sure that we can have as full of a board as possible for that. So please make sure you put it on your calendar, circle it in red, do something so we have a full board here. And then moving on to 9.1, action item for adjournment. Do I have a motion? I have a motion by Board Member Cienko. Do I have a second?
I second.
I have a second from Board Member Terry. Thank you. All those in favor say aye.
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 Aye. Motion carries. Thank you all. The meeting is adjourned at 5:13 p.m. I need your signature too.